Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio, your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Have you ever found yourself wondering, how do I fix this problem? Or just falling into the same conversation with a different person and going through the same motions over and over again? Well, what we're looking at today is patterns that we find in leadership. And I have 3 different ones that I want to share with you and look at how they might show up in your leadership space, as I have seen them with not only myself, but many of my clients too. So the very first one that we're going to look at today is the fixer. And our intro might have alluded to that. Now, of course, also where you are at, before I forget, you are on USA Global TV and Radio and one of our multiple streaming spaces too. Please subscribe so that you don't lose any of our wonderful content, and you can check in with us again at any time. So with that being all said, we can jump into our topic for today. See, I was so excited about the topic, I just jumped right in, forgot about all the rest. So the fixer, what does the fixer do? Well, the fixer wants to literally fix. As a leader, we have a tendency to think that we need to fix everything. How does this show up? Well, what I have seen and what I have experienced for myself is I might go into a meeting and we are trying to resolve an issue. And I think I have to have the answer. Or we had many change initiatives and we might come across a roadblock. And this happens, well, this happened for me. We came across the roadblock and I thought, well, I don't really know what to do. This is the inner voice. And outside, I just started babbling because I thought that I needed to know what it is that we needed to do. I needed to take the decision. I am the leader after all. Now, this is not true in all cases. Now, for all of these patterns that we are going to look at today, there is the dance that we need to remember, and not only staying in one place. Leadership is a continuous movement, emotion. In any space that we interact with, we cannot be just stationary, because that makes us really, really rigid. Not only as human beings, but also as leaders, we need to be able to move with whatever is happening around us, with the person that we are interacting with. So I want you to think about these different patterns that show up and where may they be helpful and where might they actually be hindering you. Because as soon as we start to overuse them, that's typically where the problem comes in. So when we think about the fixer, it is the thought pattern of, I need to get this right. I need to have the knowledge. I need to know the answer. I need to make that decision. Now, if I'm in an emergency, I need to just know the next step, right? We've had times, or I have had times within my leadership where we had to act quickly because not that the literal place was burning down, but we were hemorrhaging at that stage and we needed to move. So for that, sometimes we do need an answer, not the answer. So remembering what the situation we are in can reveal what we may or may not need to play into. So with the fixer, we constantly think we need to have the answer. We might not ask the team what they're thinking or how they would like to approach it. Or we have this internal pressure that we put on ourselves and expectation that we need to come up with the answer first before we can even go to the team and get it resolved. And I remember feeling this myself too. That's not a lot of fun. So remember when you are in that fixer space and you notice yourself being there, step out of it, see whether that is the right space to be in right now. And if it's not, if literally there is no answer or there's no, this is the only way, then go out, find out from others, use the brilliance that you have around you. The next one that I also see is what I called Atlas. So Atlas is the, in legend, the person that's trying to hold the world and whole universe actually on his shoulders. So he's carrying everything, right? He's trying to keep everything up. Now, as leaders, sometimes it feels like that's what we need to do. We need to keep everything up. We need to take the emotional burden. We need to take all the decisions. We need to figure this thing out. It is all on us. It is not all on you. It is not. There might be a great deal that's on you, but it's not all of it on you. We need to take that burden and put it down so we can always also take care of ourselves. Otherwise, we're just going to exhaust ourselves and not be able to even carry the bit that we are supposed to carry. So during these times, and I remember very clearly being in a situation where the organization, unfortunately, had a bit of a toxic space. So the culture itself was toxic. And I cared so deeply for my team, I didn't want to let them down. Because I didn't want to let them down, I actually outstayed my welcome in this space. And as a leader, I didn't only do it to my own detriment, I also did it to my team's detriment. Because as soon as I moved out of the space and I gave myself permission to choose something different, a lot of my team did the same thing. They actually chose what worked for them instead of sticking it out with me. So that's one way that this might show up. We might be doing things that's not healthy for us or for the other people in the team because we're trying to carry this thing and we're not taking care of ourselves. We're not looking after our own welfare and listening to that inner voice, that inner knowing that this won't change. This won't necessarily, even if I stay here, it won't get better. Because they might not be at a place where it can get better. We are not in control of everybody else's actions, of everybody else's emotion. We can only control our own. We can only regulate our own and then invite co-regulation with others. So remembering that we need to put the world down. You are not Atlas, you are a human being. The world, one, does not revolve around you, and you do not need to help it to revolve. You need to take care of yourself so that you can bring your best self into the space and then lead from there. If you are depleted, you are no good to anybody, not your team, and also not yourself. So playing Atlas, we might feel good, right? It's an ego boost. It makes us feel really good sometimes, but it doesn't serve us. So understanding how that works, and typically when we go through, especially when we go through a lot of change initiatives, or when we are in those change initiatives, and we care deeply for our team. So that's one of the things that happened to me. It's also something that I see in a lot of leaders when they have restructures happening in the environment, or where they have some change initiative that is taking place around them. We want to protect our teams. We want to make sure that the team is taken care of. And by doing that, we forget that we also need to take care of ourselves. And a lot of the time, we go into burnout. We go into all sorts of unhealthy behaviors that just doesn't serve us or the team at all. So stepping back to remember we don't have to carry the world is already a good awareness. And then going from there and taking care of ourselves, seeing what is it that we actually need to fill our own cup first, right? Once our cup is filled, we can then start to also help other people. And remember, in leadership, the one thing that I have a tendency to mention on this show quite often, we are on a bit of a pedestal. People always look at you when you are leading teams. So you are an example. One of the best things you can do is leading by example. If we are going to keep the world on our shoulder, our team will think that that's expected of them too. And we will all be burnt out and depleted, which is not helpful for anyone. So take care of yourself so that you can be the example, and the team will also take care of themselves, and we can all thrive together. Then my third pattern that I've been seeing, I dubbed, according to our Roman god with duality and his two faces, Jonas, or Jonas, whichever pronunciation it is that you want to go for. And the reason he has his two faces is he's looking both at the future and the past at the same time, right? So it's this duality of things. Now, typically where I see this a lot of the time is especially decision making when we have uncertainty. Now, I don't know about you, but currently the world's pretty uncertain. There's a lot of things happening and we don't exactly know what's going on all the time. And it's okay. That's part of change. That is part of the environment that we are in. The problem with this duality, though, is that we have a tendency to sort of step into traps. So the one trap that I have found for myself is sometimes I want more information, and this can lead to analysis paralysis, because I want more information and more information and more information, which in all likelihood I won't get, but I want it. And because I want it, I'm waiting and I don't take a decision, and I'm waiting and I'm not taking a decision. And then all of a sudden it's too late, right? If it's a burning building, I know what to do, run out of it. But when we are in uncertain times, we don't always see where the things are burning and where it's actually okay. So it's good for us to find a process for ourselves to determine that, because we can't get all of the information all of the time. This is uncertainty, right? So we don't have all of the information. We need to take a step. Now, this is where we have the caveat, and it goes to the other way, where potentially some of us take steps too fast. We don't want to sit in the uncertainty of understanding what might be the next best step. I'm not saying the right step, because there might not be a right step. There might just be a best step. But if we take steps too fast, it means that we need to continuously, very fast, course correct all the time, which might not be helpful. Because one of the things that I have also observed within my time in leadership and also on a mechanical plant is we have this lag that happens once you have taken a decision, right? So depending on the system that you are working inside of or with, it might look like, if you think about a bathtub and you are opening a tap and you unplug the plug. Now, if the tap and the plug that you unplugged is putting water into the tub and taking water out of the tub at the same rate, the bath water will stay at the same level. But if you increase the amount that you put in or you decrease the amount that you take out, the water might rise. And if you do it the other way around, the water will drop. Now that's the same with any decisions, right? So that raise and drop level, the time it takes for it to rise or to drop, that's actually your system giving you information back. And that's what happens with decision making. We need to have a loop where we can get information back. And we don't always have enough information. That was the one part of it. But sometimes we are too fast on the trigger and we just want to make those steps. And because we do that, we don't give it enough time to adjust so we can see, was the step in the right direction? Or was this the best place to go into before making our next step? So now our steps are compiling with a delayed lag, which just makes it a big, big problem. So that's the two things that can come up when we are in especially uncertain times, when we don't have a lot of data and we don't know how to go about doing or making good or best decisions. Not the right one, just the best one for now. So understanding how to work out that lag is really, really helpful for us to not go into our two-faced Roman gods and stay in the present, noticing what is happening right now. And if we do need to sit in that tension, how do we do that without jumping into the conclusion that or the step that we want to take, the action part of things, too fast? So and you will know for yourself. Now, typically, I have a tendency to overthink. That's my pattern. If I think about my Roman god, my pattern would be overthinking. I have a typical tendency towards that a little bit more. So if I am on uncertain ground, one of the things that I have worked out for myself is, well, what is the minimum amount of information that I need in order for me to make the decision, right? And one of the other things that I also came across was that actually my system, my physical system, has a lot of knowledge that it can share with me. So some of it would be a little bit of the pros cons list or a checklist of some sort. But I don't necessarily, especially during uncertainty, rely on that as much. I more often have started to rely on my gut feeling. So yes, I want to check a little bit of the logic, and I want to definitely go and check in with my system to see, is this in alignment with my values? So is it heart attached? And is it in alignment with my gut? Does it feel right? Does it feel like the right place to step into? And if I still have a bit of uncertainty, to listen to that and sit in the tension just a little bit longer so I don't step too fast into the action. So I want to have that balance. And as I mentioned earlier during the show, it is the dance, right? It is understanding when to do the one thing and when to do the other thing, and dancing between these different states of being, because neither one of them will necessarily serve us all the time the same way. And we need to understand where we have a tendency to overuse something too often. So this is the overall pattern that I do see for leaders. We need to be self-aware. Now, that requires us to step back and actually think about what is going on in our vicinity, for ourselves, in our teams. What is it that we are seeing? What pops up more often? How are they related to each other? What is common denominators in those interactions? And what am I contributing? What's my input to that? That might be causing some of the things that I am seeing. So that's the awareness piece of it, because if we're not aware of it, we cannot fix it. Which brings me to the other pattern that we also have as human beings and leaders. It's the fact that we have blind spots. Now, we all have them. We can't get away from them. And when you think about blind spots, the reason they are blind spots is because they're behind you. You cannot see them. So what you want to do is you want to develop a process for yourself that enables you to see behind your back. And please don't grow another face so that you have to. It's not necessarily going to be helpful, because there might be stuff on the side that you won't see, and we don't want you walking around with 4 faces. That's just going to look creepy. So other than walking around with 4 faces so you can see all the way around yourself, we have other people around us. We also want to understand how they are experiencing us, because our own experience of ourselves might be quite different from the way that our team or our peers or boss might be experiencing us. So understanding their experience, my intention, my expectations maybe too, and then adjusting it accordingly so that those blind spots can become a little bit more to the forefront and in my awareness space, so I can start working with them. And of course, as leaders, it might serve us to also think about how we are getting this. So feedback, one, for nobody is ever an easy thing, right? So understand how to ask for feedback and also how to receive feedback. And then you also want to make sure that when you get your feedback, you actually get feedback from somebody that would be honest. It doesn't help we get feedback where they just give us all the nice things, right? Yes, it feels good. I get that. I understand. We all want to feel good, and we won't necessarily uncover those blind spots if that's the only feedback we get. So understand how to set up your system in order for it to really, really serve you in the right way would definitely be helpful as you are working through your patterns that you may or may not be familiar with. And potentially one of these 3 figures might be showing up. Either you might be trying to fix things, you might be atlasing the world onto your shoulders, or you might be our 2-faced Roman god and not even know it. So create a bit more of self-awareness so that you can dance the way that you need to dance in your leadership. And I look forward to seeing you all next week again. So with that, if you are a leader and you feel that maybe your dancing isn't quite as flexible as it can be, and you need to work in a little bit more flexibility, you can get hold of me via my website, which is journey2discover.com. So that's JOURNEY 2 discover DISCOVER.com. Or alternatively, you can also email me, which is at MARISKA, so MARISKA at journey2discover.com. You can also find me on LinkedIn. So if you want to do the whole social thing rather than the website thing, you are more than welcome to look for me on LinkedIn. So on LinkedIn, I am Mariska de Pree, and there you can literally just take a DM route. So direct message me, and we can start our conversation from there. So nice and easy, the two ways to get hold of me. And you are a leader no matter where you go in life, because whether you are leading an organization, leading a team, leading your family, or just leading yourself, you are leading everywhere you go. So think about the leading by example that you are doing, your self-awareness, and some of those blind spots. So with that, I look forward to hearing all the patterns that you might be uncovering for yourself as a leader, and how you are planning to create a little bit more awareness around it so that we can all be the leader that we want to have. And with that, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye for now.
Every great story begins with a vision. At USA Global TV and Radio for years, we've been providing world-class education, entertainment, inspiration, imagination, connections, and hope. Most people don't stay to watch the outro or the credits, but it's the people behind every success, behind every breakthrough, and behind every unforgettable story who matter. The TV show hosts, our guests, our sponsors, our publicists, our production team, our distribution team, our search engine optimization team, and so many more. You're the ones who make the difference. Every great story belongs to the people who bring it to life. Our future looks bright at USA Global TV and Radio, and that's because of you, our loyal fan base all around the world in more than 60 countries. Together, we're making a difference because you matter. USA Global TV and Radio, live streaming to over 60 countries. Voiceover, Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Video production and direction, Paul Garcia. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV and Radio on YouTube.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USA Global TV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.